Shit's aggravating, I know. But, moving on. This whole miracles craze, man. Seriously? How many of you people actually listened to the song except for fucking magnets? How do they work? Okay, first of all, anybody that really thinks that Shaggy is that fucking stupid, you're that fucking stupid. Second of all, ICP works in metaphors. It gets your fucking mind thinking. It is not that difficult to figure out how a fucking magnet works. Science is science. The technical data is there. It's all there. Physics and fucking biology and I don't know the exact names of all of it, but what I'm getting at is that it exists. The studies exist, and it's there, and they have the data and the technical knowledge, and they can tell you why things work in a technical sense. But that is also why Violent J says he believes in God. I didn't hear him say Jesus. I didn't hear him say Christ. I never heard that. Granted, Dark Lotus uses a cross, but the cross has significance far beyond Christianity. So I don't think that makes a difference. I can't even tell you how many people. My sister kept coming up to me like, oh yeah, didn't you hear ICP is Christians now? Why? Because he said they follow God? No, that means they follow the light. That means they follow love. That means that they follow good, essentially. That's what that's supposed to mean. I can't speak on what their actual intentions or machinations really are. I don't know. The man says he follows God. And to me, following God means that you're a fairly righteous individual. Because I'm under the impression that God is the way, the light, the truth, all that shit Jesus is supposed to be. Now, I'm not going to get into what I think about Christianity and Judaism and religion, because that's a whole other fucking story. I will, however, say that I have met and known people that look at the Dark Carnival as religion, and, you know, at the end of it, you can do that if you want to, but really, ICP is mostly, you know, musical folklore. It's, you know, a traveling band of people that would, you know, tell their stories, and there are morals in some of them, and some of them are just entertainment, and some of them are to shock you, and some of them are to surprise you, some of them are to educate you. How the fuck you think they got the Bible out? The Bible used to get put on fucking, the Bible went on tour for fucking years and centuries. People would go from place to place and act out scenes from the Bible, and then tell people this is based on fact. Complete, absolute fact. Inexplicably, because there was no proof to this. But they would say, oh, we heard from somebody who was there that it happened that way. Shit, you see? I got off on my fucking tangent on religion. What I'm getting at is that ICP is, it's folklore, and it's mythology, and it's literature, and it's music, and it's shit to fucking stimulate your brain. And that is why I don't understand why it is that people seem to think that all juggalos are uneducated. Let me tell you something. Violent J admittedly dropped out in, like, well, I think it was 9th grade, because I read in the book, he got to 8th grade, and then they brought his mom and him into the office, made some whack phony phone call to high school, like, oh, if he doesn't pull through, send him right back here, you know, whatever. I think that he said he dropped out in 9th grade. Case in point, look at that. Drop out in 9th grade and still become that much of a success, and have that profound of an impact on that many people? You can't teach that at Harvard, Oxford, fucking George Washington University. You can't fucking teach that. That is charisma. That is the divine spark. That is that. I don't even know the words for it. I want to say things, but I also don't want to sound arrogant, and I also don't want to sound like I know some shit that I don't know. But think about it, man. Millions of people. That's not based on how many fucking record sales they've made. Do you have any idea how many juggalos are homeless? How many juggalos are poor? How many juggalos don't even have a fucking computer? Never went out to buy a CD? There are probably still juggalos that are bumping cassette tapes, man. If I wasn't a retard that loses everything that I have, I would still have fucking ICP cassette tapes. And it's a funny thing. Violent J wrote about orange cassette tapes for Riddlebox and Behind the Paint. I had one. I bought it at Seaside Heights, New Jersey, at this place called Union Jacks, because they still were fucking making tapes back then. And he just had shit. And I was like, dude, you have ICP? You have cassettes? Yeah, let me buy them. $5 each. First, second, third Joker's card. So that's my fucking OG claim to Juggalo status right there. Is that I, like, because that was when I really got it in listening to the fucking Joker's cards, as in my progression. Because you want to know what? Let me tell you something. This is just my personal opinion, by the way. You don't have to agree with this, and I might be wrong, and I'm also not hating on anybody when I say this. However, if you consider yourself a juggalo, a real-ass juggalo, I'm not just talking about a fan, I'm talking about a fucking juggalo, then if I turn the fucking any one of the 6 Joker's cards on, and a song is playing, you better know at least half the words. At least. If not all of them. Because you want to know what? That's how often you should have listened. I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. You want to know why Psychopathic probably made it so much money? Because so many people like me have bought every single Joker's card more than once. All 6, which is 7 because that's 7 albums. All 7 albums I have bought more than once and had multiple copies of. Because I lose them, I go places, I take them everywhere. My copy of Behind the Paint came with me over a mountain for a fucking trip in school. I took that shit everywhere with me. My Psychopathic was all that was in my fucking CD player. And now you could walk around and see somebody wearing a fucking ICP shirt and say, whoop whoop, and they could fucking just stare at you. You don't know what I'm saying to you? Take that fucking shirt off then. Or at the very least be like, yo, I'm just a fan. Because if you ain't even a fucking fan of ICP, you know what whoop whoop means. You know what I'm saying to you. So why don't you just be like, yo, I'm down, but I'm not that down. You can be a fan of ICP and not be a juggalo. More in a minute.